I just wanted to give a quick update. I have basically been at a crisis level for the past 2 days now. I think that was probably pretty clear in the last video I did. I just wanted to give a quick update, letting people know that I'm taking this seriously and I'm taking like emergency measures to deal with this level of intense suicidal feeling. It was really a moment, it feels really embarrassing to admit this. It felt embarrassing to need it, but I realize how deadly the state I'm in is now. And this one's different than any in the past. I'm not sure if COVID fucked my bipolar cycle up or what, but this is different. Usually, when I get suicidal, I can mostly handle it on my own. I maybe have to talk to people a couple times here and there, but like there's times where I've been suicidal for a couple months and I can just tell everyone, like, hey, just leave me alone. I'll get through this. I don't know if I would have survived the past 48 hours if I had tried to do that. So I've been reaching out to people. I have spent the majority of today with people, like either online or in person, to make sure that I don't slip up and tip over. It feels horribly embarrassing that I've dropped to that point where I need to spend most of my time with someone. Because otherwise, I'm afraid that overwhelming panic of do it now is I'm going to slip. So I took my sleeping pills an hour ago. Like I took a heavy dose of sedatives, but safe. Like I'm not talking an attempt. And sleeping pills I take will numb the suicidal feelings. I couldn't take them last night because they're habit forming. You have to be careful. This is a prescription. I had taken them the 2 nights before, so last night I couldn't. And last night I had to be checking in with people until like 4 in the morning without the pills to be able to take at 11. Today I relied on different people. A couple people fucking talked to me for hours. One person talked to me for like 5 hours. And finally, towards the end of the day, when I realized it was time to take my pills, I made one last phone call and had someone talk to me for about half an hour until the sleeping pills could kick in. I still feel suicidal, but at the moment, mildly so because it's sedated. So I thought I should do a check in now to let people know that I'm taking this very seriously. There's a desire to be macho and lock down and try to tough it out the way I have at other times in the past. And maybe I could have survived the past 2 days if I had done that, but it didn't seem safe. I couldn't guarantee that I could. So, as pathetic as it was, I've been calling people for help. Monday's a holiday, but Tuesday, my dad's going to help me handle. I'm going to try to get a therapist locally. I'm not overly optimistic about that. Out where I live, there's not a lot of budget into the mental health, and there can be some pretty poor quality healthcare workers in this area, and there can be some good ones. But I also don't know if I'll be able to get a therapist. There's times where, when I was in crisis and needed a therapist, and I called, I would, get a first visit in a week or two. There's other times where I've had to wait months. And anyone's wondering, like, why didn't you just keep with a good therapist when you had one? Over the past 10 years, anytime I've had a therapist, when there was I've only needed it when my internal was acting up at the same time that there were outside crises, and I couldn't deal with the outside crises at the same time. And the last few therapists I all had, they would help me through the crisis. And then after that, it was, look, you're obviously fine now. You just needed my help in dealing with that. I can't justify continuing to see you. We're overburdened. I have to close your case. In fact, the last therapist I saw was because there was like an outside problem that I couldn't deal with. I needed help talking it through. This is before I ever took over the channel. And it took us a couple weeks, like just a couple sessions, to sort out that issue. With the therapist's help, we sorted it out. And then she kept seeing me for months. But after the first few sessions, it turned into just me talking about what it's like for me to be bipolar, and me essentially, she was using it like a study class instead, taking notes on what I'm saying, and thinking about how to apply it to other people. After a couple months of that, she said, I'm really enjoying our time. I'm learning a lot from you, but my boss won't let me continue this. Your file obviously shows that you don't need a therapist at the moment. And so she had to close the file. And then she tried to sign me up for Canada's testing a new program where they have older, experienced lunatics, peer counseling other people. So the last therapist I saw ended with her saying she can't justify seeing me, and that she really tried to talk me into signing up for the beta program and being one of the first people in Quebec doing it. That would have even paid money. I told her I'd think about it, but my imaginary friends said not to do it. They said, you'll do this kind of work later, but it won't be the government paying you to do it. And I ended up doing this channel. After spending so much time counseling other people through suicidal states, and after getting through so many of them on my own, I've gotten through so many without any needing to call people at all. Or for other ones, I'd maybe just have to a couple times. I can't remember having a 48 hours like the past 48 hours. And for various reasons that I don't think I'll try to even go into right now, the tricks I have for dealing with this aren't working the way they used to. This time is different. I imagine it's a combination of factors. The past 2 years have been brutal. Outside circumstances that I can't talk about have put me under a lot of strain for a couple years now. And then COVID fucked my bipolar up. I only had 2 good months out of the past 12. But the point of this was just, hi, Ben. I'm doing a series on how I'm dealing with my current suicidal crisis, is what this is. And the point of coming on tonight was just, I have a feeling my last one really showed how fucking in crisis I was. I have a feeling some of you people watching, even before I said, now that this time is different, might have been worried about that. I'm worried about getting through this one in a way I haven't before. And some of my tools that worked in the past when I'm in this state don't work anymore. I'm not sure if my bipolar is permanently worse now. But I have slid all the way from helping other people down to desperately needing other people's help to get through this. I don't like that. But I'm not being macho or stupid. I realize how seriously fucking life-threatening the situation I'm in is. So I'm looking for any kind of fucking help I can. First time in 5 years, I'm getting a therapist again. If I can. I'm actually calling people in crisis and telling them I need help at a level I've not done before. Hey, Martin. Hey, Silver Eyes. Ben says I've been there over the past 2 years, mate. I'm only 21, so I'm not too sure what to do about it. Ben, I didn't put a link for our Discord under this video, and I don't think I did under the last one, but any older videos on this channel, there's a link for Discord. Write to me, and maybe when I'm doing better, I can talk to you, or maybe we can exchange some messages. Up until now, I have been very good at counseling other people through it, and I've been very good at getting myself through it, considering the extremes I've experienced. Who knows, maybe we can both just talk. I'm 43. I've been insane for 15 years. I got hit by a bus and became bipolar. If you look up, there's a video that me and my old partner Ryan Holsapple did with a girl who was actively suicidal. I think it's called Escaping Hell. But there's also some other videos on this channel at times when I wasn't as in crisis as I am now that I talked about ways of dealing with suicidal states. But seek help. Look for advice. Don't hide it and deal with it on your own. Even though that was my favorite way to deal with it, was to hide away from the world and deal with it on my own. I had a lot of tools to do that when I did that. And I had delusional imaginary friends helping me through it that most people don't. Angels and shit. If you find this depressing, Cosmosis, don't watch. The dim lighting is more comforting for me. For some reason, other people who are depressed or suicidal have been finding these videos helpful. It's made some other people feel better. That's the only reason I'm doing them. So if anyone watches this and find it depressing, turn it the fuck off. Why are you depressing yourself? People should only be watching this if this gives them some comfort, some feeling of being less alone, or if they have some sort of curiosity about understanding suicidal states because they want to understand their family members better, or want to be able to this should have something good for you. Should be the only reason you're watching it. Even with the sedatives, it hurts so much right now. My brain will not process positive information. And my brain is so clever and will process negative information so easily right now. Everything seems hopeless. It seems like all I'm doing is committing to existing in hell forever. People can talk me into feeling a little bit of hope mixed with everything else for a bit, but it doesn't hold on long. But we can't give up. First of all, it seems to me, and I don't know, but my imaginary friends always warn me that if I take that exit out, I won't get the death experience that I got the preview of hit by the bus. My out of death experience, my near death, or my out of body experience, near death experience, almost getting hit by the bus was beautiful. And I don't know whether this is objectively true or whether it's true for some people, but I've been warned that I shouldn't kill myself for my own soul's sake. But also, I've been warned that if I kill myself, it will permanently fuck up my children. It will fuck up my family members. And now that there's all these other people watching me online who recently I've gotten a bunch of letters and comments from people who've never commented or written in before. At first, what really stood out to me was the number of people who are watching these videos who are actively suicidal right now, too. And so obviously you're the ones I'm thinking of the most. But I've also been shocked the number of people who have written in that never have before, telling me they love me. Seems that for some reason, because I've been on here sharing so much of myself, so honestly, there's dozens or maybe even hundreds of people out there. Some of who I know from talking to them, some of them whom I've known just as little fucking names in the comments, but recently heard from a shitload of them that I didn't know existed before. And they're expressing support and love in a way that seems genuine. Maybe it's because I've been so honest about my pain. Maybe it's like how authentic I've been. Maybe it's how much I've tried to help people, and the agapic love that I've learned to put out, because I really do love everyone watching, even the people I don't know. I really do love everyone. It seems there's a ridiculous number of people out there who actually feel love towards me. And I don't want to let everyone down. If I get overwhelmed by that panicky, screaming, suicidal thing that tries to take over and make me do it instantly, if I ever slip and let that thing take me out, it will fuck up so many people to various degrees. It'll fuck up some members of this community, members in this audience. Much more so, it'll fuck up and it'll ripple out to family members who haven't seen me in 10 years will be devastated. I could be wrong about this. There's other people who teach differently on suicide. But what I've been presented is we can't do it. It fucks too much up. If you're suicidal, you know how much pain's in the world. Do you want the last thing you do to be to spread more of it and so much more? Family members can be scarred for life by losing someone to suicide. We can't do that much damage here. And I don't think I would want to face what the consequences are on the other side. The past 48 hours have felt like a life and death struggle that I was barely maintaining. So I'm open to absolutely every level of help I can get right now. And I am so terrified that I'm just permanently more fucked up now. With COVID and shit, this year was 10 years, or this past 12 months was 10 months of hell and 2 good months that crashed so hard. I love you too, Asa. Asa says, just wanted to say I love you. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me and giving me the time to genuinely listen and giving me the encouragement with my art. Fuck yeah, I love you, man. Sessions we did together were rewarding for me. You're a brilliant fucking mad artist. You've gone through so much pain. It feels like an honor to know you. You're very talented. And so few people know you. It's weird. When I was younger, I loved knowing famous people. It felt cool to know someone that everybody knows. People like you, or I won't even, yeah, those others of you that out there that write into me or do private sessions with me and that you barely talk to anyone. Almost nobody knows you. You tell me things that you haven't told anyone else. That feels like such an honor. To know so many people that almost nobody knows, and that are these hidden gems of mad genius. I feel so much cooler than knowing someone famous. Thanks for existing, Asa. That's an excellent question, Ben. I don't have it in me to answer right now. And Cosmosis, you're the one who said that this is depressing. And you say it is, man, but I get the heaviness of the situation. You're dropping some good gems. So I'll stay tuned. All right, yeah, if you're getting something out of it. Martin says, nice to hear so many people have reached out. Seems to me that they're doing it because you've helped them. Some people who are reaching out are doing it because I've had private sessions or been at Zoom events or did some messages exchanges that helped them. Some people are reaching out because I guess I helped, like, in telling me that my videos have been helping them for years and they've just never reached out before. Yeah, I guess I must have done some good for some people if there's been such a response to this. Oh, this series is hard to stick with. It's weird. It helps somewhat and it hurts somewhat. Sometimes it helps to think of the people I'm helping here and the hey, if even if everything else is falling apart and even if you're in hell, at least you're helping some other people. Sometimes that helps me get through the 5 minutes or the 10 minutes or the 1 minute that I'm really in crisis. Other times it flips and it's a burden. Too many people are going to get hurt if you kill yourself. And the longer you wait, the more people are. Just the sooner you do it, the sooner they get over it. I've really, really looked at it. It seems like it's 50-50 right now. Overall, sometimes this hurts me doing it, sometimes this helps me. Like it fluctuates throughout the day. And from what I can tell, it's just 50-50. The net effect is this isn't helping me right now, but it's also not hurting me right now. So I'm going to try to stick it out. Because if it's a neutral effect on me and it's helping other people, that's wonderful. When I talked that through with someone today, they pointed out something that's too optimistic for me to process well, but They said maybe it's going to gradually start shifting. Maybe it's going to start helping more and hurting less gradually. And that even though I'm only doing this to help other people, maybe it'll start helping me eventually, they said. When I first started this series, I was really hoping this was going to be a quick couple weeks of suicidal. Past 2 days, I've been worrying that this might stretch on for months. At the longest, I've been suicidal for over a year straight, twice. Other times I've been suicidal for a couple months. Other times I've been suicidal just a couple weeks, and sometimes it's just a couple days. But my cycle didn't happen normally this year. I think I'm in new territory. I don't know if I can keep the series up if I'm going to be depressed for 4 months. I'm going to try to keep it up for as long as I can. Because I have a real thing about commitment. And I have a real thing about doing the right thing if I possibly can. So I do worry that even if this starts to get overwhelming and I quit it, that quitting it might make things even worse. I don't seem to be able to improve anything else right now. I'm too suicidal to help myself right now. For some weird reason, me doing this, which isn't as hard as me having to try to pull myself together and act normal to deal with something else. This isn't as hard as trying to get myself fucking investing in myself. I'm just struggling, like, really at the crisis. I can get so convinced. Like, even with how much people here are telling me I help them, even with how well I've dealt with how crazy I am, even with how well I've been there for family members and my kids, despite how much I've been suffering, it can just suddenly become certain that I'm just going to fuck this up and hurt everyone worse in the long run. Aside from the things that I do well, I'm a fucking burden on some people. And sometimes it can just seem like the degree to which I'm a burden is already too much. I'm just going to fall apart more and fuck things up and start damaging people. I'm going to undo the help I did. Then I'm just going to cause so much damage and kill myself anyway. And it can really seem sometimes that the best thing I could do for the universe is kill myself now, let everyone take the damage that does now, because they'll get over it and do better. That mixed with a bunch of other extreme suicidal things. I don't have the energy to keep talking about the rest. But it has made it brutally difficult to get through these past 2 days. Because of the sleeping pills, this is the longest I have not cried in the past 2 days. I filled 2 garbage bags with tissues blowing my nose, like one a day. I have just been a fountain of snot and tears and just an endless abyss of pain for the past 48 hours. Because I couldn't take my sleeping pills last night. It's only the heavy sedatives keeping me from crying right now. Or maybe my body's all out of snot. The prescription sedatives kind of numb everything and slow it down, but there's still that panic inside. Saying I've got to do it now before it gets any worse. There's a lot of people who are suicidal right now. I think it's been going up for years, but I think it's jumped more since COVID. Fucked the world up. I think that if I possibly can, I need to finish this series and ride out this whole suicidal wave for as long as it goes publicly. It's not what I would have chosen to be the poster boy for. But it seems that for a little while I am. So if you're barely holding on, like whatever level of suicidal, if you're at that mild suicidal where it's just pleasant to daydream about and you want to, but you don't need to, or if you get up into the just, it's not that you want to, you feel the need, or when you get to where it's unbearable. And it's that weird unbearable where technically you're bearing it, but it's unbearable. And then there's the screaming suicides and that sudden panicky kind of suicide that is now, before anyone can stop you. Do it now. Sometimes I wake up with that. The panicky suicidal that says, get up now, go to the bathroom, break the mirror, and slit your wrists and throat before those other parts of us that are going to stop us wake up. Sometimes that screaming suicidal thing wakes me up and tries to get me to do it before the other subpersonalities, the other parts of my brain wake me up. That part's been rising up a lot lately, briefly. Runs up and tries to. Fuck. So I know how hard it is, and I know it feels endless and hopeless. That's absolutely how I feel. I have been screaming and crying at people about that all fucking day. And God bless all of you that put up with that shit. And I didn't want to do it, but I was overwhelmed by it, and I was afraid it was going to make me kill myself if I didn't share the burden of it with someone else. There's one moment where I just thought, I don't know if I can get through the next half hour, and I don't know if a call's good enough. So I called a family member and asked them to just come over and be here to get me through that stretch. But I'm committed to sticking it out. More even than just being committed to stick it out. Like I'm going to do, and sometimes I worry so much. Is it going to be, am I going to go through 3 decades of this? And then finally fail anyway? But still, I'm committed to not exiting. Even though I'm spending a lot of time feeling like that's the only way out. I'm going to stick it out. And not only am I going to stick it out, I'm going to stick it out publicly, as embarrassing as it is. Like the actual videos are so fucking embarrassing to me. The fact that it helps people feels so good to me. And the support. It's like hearing from someone what they're going through and that I made it easier helps, but also the comments of "we love you, we're praying for you, please don't give up." First, those didn't seem to help. Like they helped while I read it, and then they just fell right off my back. The amount of them is beginning to add up and help. Then at other times, the amount of that is added up becomes terrifying. It makes the panicky part of me say, we can't deal with the pressure of holding this up. We can't deal with the pressure that, because everyone fucking tips the world towards the worst when they kill themselves. Even if you have no family or friends at all, even if you're a burden on the state and you kill yourself and it's the landlord who finds you, it's hard on the landlord. It's hard on the neighbors who don't know you. I heard from someone who's suicidal themselves and a neighbor of theirs killed themselves. And even if that neighbor had no family and friends, and that neighbor didn't know the person I heard from, like it's not like they were friends, it was just a neighbor. But just finding out that his neighbor had killed himself made it harder for him to hold on. It will hurt even if you feel you have no one. It hurts the person who finds the body, whether they know you or not. It's harder on fucking coroners when it's a suicide or a sad death. And just hearing that someone has committed suicide makes us want to commit suicide more. Public reporting of famous suicides dramatically increases suicides. Which was part of the reason I started this series, because to me, each one of these videos is the opposite of a report of a suicide. Because the opposite of a suicide isn't what everyone does, just living. To me, the opposite of a suicide is to be feeling suicidal and enduring it without killing yourself. So I feel every time I show up, I am reporting that I have not committed suicide despite wanting to. And I'm hoping this has like the same way that hearing someone has killed themselves makes it more likely other people will. I'm hoping that hearing and seeing that I still haven't killed myself will make it more likely that some of you won't. Will make it easier for you not to. Fuck, God bless sedatives. Makes this so much easier. Disconnects my body from the suicidal feelings. Makes it so I can feel a level of depression or suicidality that normally makes me cry, but it just doesn't connect to the body. This one's easier to do without crying. Muck, I'm taking a break from talking and I'm just going to read what you all have written for a bit. Okay, wait, I think I'm going to read this one right after saying that. I'm going to pull this closer. Silver Eyes says, I'm only 16. I don't know a lot about life, but I lost 2 family members to suicide. And seeing your videos reminds me of their experience again. My prayers go out to you and your family. I'm sorry that happened to you. Okay, I'm going to read this one too. Does that say you're going to commit suicide? Hold on. It's hard. Raven King says, I don't work on myself. I'm going to commit suicide. So staying close to AA and people in recovery really helps me to see what my motives are in the decisions I make in every day of my life. Suicide is not my option. Oh, okay. But by option, my biological father, who I never met, went that way, and I'm not going to go. Okay. So I thought I read, I'm going to commit suicide, but you meant you were feeling it, but no, you're committing not to, right? Yeah. Good for you. Now this chat isn't moving. All right, so I'll just read the bottom one I can see. Love you, brother. Love you too. Yo, hey. I have been alienated all alone, and this made me feel a tad not alone. Thank you for giving me something good today. You're very welcome. I'm really glad it helped you. Even feeling just a little less alone will help. I should have put the link to our Discord in this description, but anyone past 2 videos don't have it. Every other video on this fucking channel has an invite to join our Discord. People can write to me directly there and people can interact with each other. It started getting just a little more active again. There's people who have come to the Discord recently in the past couple weeks because I'm feeling suicidal and they are. And there's other people in the community who are feeling that they want to do something to help people who are feeling suicidal. So if aside from me doing this, if the people who are drawn to this want to go over to the Discord and work on supporting each other there as well, that would be wonderful. All right, let's see if this chat will move now. Martin asking how much do I think my own personal state is related to the world at large? How much is what I go through because I'm connected to the energies of the apocalypse? Thank you, Christina. Physical hugs would be nice. Just got out of urgent care. Listening to you helps, but it's my ear that hurts. Well, I'm not a burden to you. I'm glad. See, I like how many of you in chat know each other already. And I know that went better back when I was doing lunatic patrols. Last summer, Discord got more active because I was doing lunatic patrols where I posted a Zoom link and a bunch of us could get together, watch shit, talk. That really helped lots of community members get to know each other. I'll try to get back to that soon so more of us can meet each other. But like Nerdy Bird just met someone, right? Just through even without me holding, like, because they showed up and started talking on the Discord. When I'm able to, I will try to start hosting some lunatic patrols so more of you can meet face to face. But I really encourage everyone in the community that wants to go onto the Discord and just start whatever. Talk about yourself a bit somewhere, ask questions, read what other people are posting. There's a spot to ask for support, like support requests, and anyone in the community can respond and say, hey, I'm here to listen, or just share some music, share the art you're doing. There's spaces for all that. I didn't build the Discord, the community did. I'm kind of a Luddite. But if you guys want to make use of the Discord, I think you could do a lot. I know it would go better if I got involved. Not much of a Discord person, but I think maybe I can start doing some group events. Also, it seems there's a lot of new people now who weren't around back last summer and who we haven't spoken face to face. But anyway, a lot of people are hurting. And a lot of people are lonely and want to help people. And a lot of you have, because of the way, if you're on the Discord, you're interested in me, means lots of you have similar interests, similar goals. And there's all kinds of different people. There's crazy people, like as fucked up as me. And there's like self optimizers and these really amazing fucking genius people trying to like self optimize. There's people who study philosophy. There's like a group of very, very, very Christian people. And there's a group of very, very mystical and esoteric people. There's a bunch of writers. There's a bunch of artists. But it's actually an amazing group of people. And I think lots of you can help each other. This series is so painful to do. I mean, also just going through this suicidal state is so painful. But if I'm going to go through this publicly, I would like it if it does as much good as possible. And there's only so much I can fucking do. I can't get the community active again right now. But I think you guys can do it on your own. Oh, hey, Dust put the Discord link in the chat for everyone. Thank you, Dust. Okay, Checkmark Datter says, did he buy this channel from someone? I remember a different guy. No, other people actually offered Andrew money for the channel. Andrew asked me to take it over. I would not buy a YouTube channel. I didn't want to be a YouTuber. I was asked to take it over. And at first I took it over with Ryan Holsapple. He ran it for just over a year with me. And then the fact that this channel makes no fucking money meant that he had to retire from it and focus more on paid work. I didn't want to do the channel for my own sake. A number of people asked me to. My ex-wife wanted me to do it. Ryan and Andrew wanted me to do it. And overall, in fact, I talked about how this series has been good for me and bad for me. Overall, doing the channel has been the exact same thing. There's times where it makes me feel like I'm making a difference and helping people. And there's times where I feel I'm doing a pathetic job and I'm a fucking loser for not helping people better and I'm just going to fuck it up. But I think overall, actually, even like I didn't get into the channel for anything for myself. I've never taken a penny. The channel's finally earned enough money. I'm going to buy a new computer soon. But all the money the channel has made in donations and AdSense, which the ads is fuck all, probably make 21 cents off this video. All of that money has gone into paying for the Zoom accounts so we could host those meetings. And has, other than that, has been put aside towards a new computer, which I'll be getting soon. So I was never doing the channel to get something out of it for me. But I do like to help people. And there's an emotional and spiritual fulfillment to helping people. I get that out of it. But also sometimes there's a lot of embarrassment about doing this channel when I'm depressed, or at other times it feels like a burden and is overwhelming. And it was really hard to start taking over this channel. I was way more a hermit before. Before I took over the channel, it had been years since I was using any social media. And before I started talking to Andrew, the original guy on this channel, I didn't even subscribe to YouTube channels. I just watched YouTube. I didn't interact with it in any other way. I didn't subscribe. I didn't like. I didn't comment. I didn't have any online friends at the point that I reached out to Andrew. I only interacted with my family and real world friends. I treated the internet like a TV station. I didn't connect to the world at all. And I'd been in a bubble away from the world for years. Before I took over the channel, it was a huge amount of stepping out of my comfort zone. Well, for the year before taking over the channel, I was in contact with both Ryan Holsapple and Andrew. But it's like they were the only people I was talking to other than immediate family and friends. And they were kind of using me in a bit of a mentor position. Taking over the channel at first was hard. I didn't do private sessions the first year at all. I couldn't do any conversation with, like, I couldn't do conversations with other people without Ryan as a security blanket. I had known Ryan well enough from like mentoring him for a while and us just becoming friends. But when we first took over the channel, I was hiding behind him. It was hard to step out and expose myself to the world. That's gotten easier, but it still sometimes feels like a burden. Especially sometimes now when I am so overwhelmed with, I feel like the life problems have just accumulated to a point that I can't handle. I feel like it's been too long that I've been constantly in one form of crisis or another. Then the way COVID fucked up my bipolar cycle, and this suicidal experience is different than any I've had before. In ways I can't get into describing. Wait, how far am I? Am I way the fuck behind? Thanks. Welcome, Stephen. I'm just going to read for a minute without responding. I want to get caught up on what's been going on. Although I'll respond to this. Sugar Wawa says, I'm dependent, and if this person ever dies or leaves me, I don't think I'll be able to handle it. I really wish the best for you. God bless. Yeah, that's another thing that I'm struggling with in my depression is I rely on my parents and they're old. I think I need more help to get through life than I have, like more support locally in the real world. And some of the help that I have, yeah. I don't know what I'd do if my parents dies. I could talk about that more, but I'm not going to. And I appreciate so much every single prayer and every bit of support. Pat Grizz is working on his own channel now. So he's not working on sorting anymore. He wants to focus on his channel. And Grizz just did a series of videos where he wanted to get Paul Vanderklay's attention. So he put a ton of work into making 3 videos where he was trying to get Paul Vanderklay's attention, and it just worked today. I didn't watch the video, but Paul made a video about Grizz's last 3 videos. Paul did a reaction video to Grizz. So he succeeded in his attempt. But yeah, Grizz is taking his efforts elsewhere. Me and Grizz are still friends, but we're not working together anymore. He's not working on the channel. And he's been putting a lot into his own projects. I've talked to him recently. Yeah, share in Discord, Nerdy Bird. It's hard to share too much in this chat, but you're saying why I'm so depressed. This is no format for me to get into it. Anyone who wants to, okay. Even though I didn't build the Discord, it's like my Discord. It's built around this energy. We want to let people share and don't tell them they're fucking wrong about anything. We're not debating what is accurate or true. We don't need to be correcting each other at all. It's like a fucking safe space for people to share. And we need a place where people who are really fucked up like me and think they talk to angels can talk about that without other people trying to talk them out of it being an angel. If someone shows up that thinks the world's flat or that their mother's a reptile, let them express doubt or ask themselves. Try to just understand what they're experiencing without correcting it. And the safest way to help others is not to try to give advice, but to ask them what they need and let them talk it through with you. Let them see for themselves what some of the delusions are. Like, you don't have to go along with it. You can say, I don't think the world's flat, but I'm interested in how you're dealing with it. And if talking that through with them helps them. Like, we're not there to debate what objective reality is, because there's way too many people in our community who are too smart to think that any of us understand objective reality. So we're all talking about our own delusional interpretation of reality. Sorting myself out isn't the place to debate which framework is correct. It's to debate how can anyone in that framework work towards the good. So if someone's convinced their family's been replaced by reptilian shapeshifters and it's making them drink and do cocaine and they stopped their therapy, if we listen to them enough, we could hear them say, well, you've said you're drinking and doing coke to deal with it, and you've talked about how this is hurting you, and help them realize that someone's willing to try to quit the fucking drugs and go back to their therapist as a way to deal with the fact that they're certain it's reptilian shapeshifters, then let's support them in making the changes they can make. I don't feel like I explained that well. Love you too, Lightheart. Okay, the Silver Eyes Fives had seen this video randomly recommended to me right after I asked for a sign from God. You have been that sign to me. Thank you for your existence. I believe in you, man. I love you. I love you too. I have had so many synchronicities and miracles, results of prayers, results of magic rituals. I really experience all that shit to a ridiculous degree. I'm honored to be a sign for you, or whatever it is. Okay, yeah, the sign. Even in this horrible pain, which is at least numbed and sedated now. Even in this, even in hell, you can help other people. So if you're so desperate that you feel you can't even save yourself, ask for help. But then don't even assume you have to get better to help someone else. You can ask for help and still find a way to help other people, even when you're in the depths of hell. Maybe sometimes, perhaps mostly, when you're in the depths of hell. You can help people that other people won't be able to reach. Oh, Dust had already answered about Grizz. Okay, so Raven King says, is that a continue? Okay, and I definitely need to get better at doing outreach. I'm part of a couple of 12-step chats on Facebook, and sometimes there's people on there asking if there's anyone available for outreach. I suck at reaching out, so it's good to actually see the video because it's bringing attention to me that there are people out there that are suffering in silence, and I'm probably one of those people because I don't like telling people I'm suffering. I'd rather suffer in silence, but that's not healthy either. Yeah, man, suffering in silence. I mean, I do it at times. In a different way. Like, I'm so fucking crazy. Everyone knows I'm crazy. I'm legally crazy. I'm on permanent disability for being so fucking insane. I've been in and out of mental institutions. But I do still when I can. And what I don't like that is different about how this suicidal stretch is shaping up. So I used to not hide the fact that I was suicidally depressed. What I would do is tell everyone, like both my family and even this fucking YouTube channel, hi, I'm suicidally depressed. I'm going to be open about that, and then I'm going to hide away and deal with it on my own. That's the way I prefer to do it. And if you've got enough fucking skills, and if you're in a bit of denial about how much you maybe really need people, you can get through that. But I hit a point this time where I've got to be reaching out, so I'm reaching out for help. And at the same time, I'm publicly embarrassing myself by exposing what I'm going through in an attempt to help others. The truth isn't a bad thing ever. Tell the truth. Let people know. You might be surprised that by telling the truth, not only might help come to you, but you might help someone else. The person you pick to open up about it may break down crying and hug you because they've also been hiding the same thing. And thank God you opened up because now they don't feel alone. You never know. Glad you find it inspiring, Jamil. I'm thankful your mother isn't a reptile either, Dust. Okay, seems like I'm almost caught up. I wasn't sure if I was way behind, and I didn't want to be responding to people who have already left and ignoring people who had just asked questions. So I think I'll try to quickly move from here. T-Bone, are you vaccinated? Yes, I got vaccinated after I had had COVID. because I had long haul COVID, and the way it interacted with my bipolar was going to turn me into a serial killer. I don't want to get into it now. I had talked about it elsewhere, but the long haul COVID with the extreme fatigue and whatnot, when that interacted with my bipolar, it fucking destroyed my bipolar. I didn't get better as spring came in. I couldn't feel any joy whatsoever. And when manic energy started coming in, it would only come in as rage and frustration and irritation. I could feel no joy at all. I went through 2 desperate months where it's like I had both the depression and suicidal feelings, and all the manic energy was going to its evil forms. Like, I had the thoughts of a fucking serial killer going through my head and could feel no joy. I could only feel negative emotions. I got the vaccination because it helps with other forms of long haul COVID. It may have helped, or it may have been something else. I had 2 good months, and I don't feel like getting into it now. What else might have helped? But my cycle didn't go normal. I had 2 good months, which out of 12 isn't fucking enough. And as I came out of those months, it crashed hard, and I'm suicidal now in a way I wasn't before. There's some different life circumstances that are partially attributable to this. There's some things that life circumstances made me realize that is partially attributed, but I am also not sure if COVID or the combination of all of this has fucked my bipolar up and made it worse. From what I understand, bipolar type 1, like mine, tends to just gradually get worse over your whole life. But there can be things that can make it worse. Bad drug reactions, additional accidents, catastrophes, excessive breakdowns can do kind of mental damage. There are things that can make bipolar worse. COVID fucked my bipolar up, and I don't know if that's permanent. So when I finally felt better, I thought, okay, hopefully I'll ease into the fall. That didn't happen. I crashed out. I can't talk about that anymore. It's freaking me out too much. Yeah, Kevin, even in hell, you can help other people. And sometimes it's only when you're in hell that you can help someone that no one else can reach. And yeah, going through hell and getting out of it gives you empathy. And my authenticity means more than I know. Yeah, I honestly don't know what effect I'm having. Like even when I get a letter from someone that explains the effect I'm having on them, that I helped them not kill themselves, or that I got them out of a cult, or blah blah blah, I still don't really understand what was the emotional effect I had, what effect on their thinking did I have, what effect on what were the mental and emotional and energetic factors that resulted in just kind of what was it? Never fully understand anyone. Just the fact that you're willing to suffer embarrassment in the service of others is worthy of admiration and love. That sounds like something that my brain wants to agree with. It doesn't. feel true to me. That's what suicidal depression does to you. It's not that I think you're lying to me, but it doesn't feel like I'm worthy of admiration. At all. Not right now. Now that might come back to me tomorrow. And I might feel it for a minute tomorrow. I've noticed that with some comments that I've read, and I say, like, I intellectually agree with that, but I can't feel it at all. It feels like it's the opposite. Sometimes later that night or the next day, I get a moment where, like, it comes back and I can connect to it and see it. And then it flickers out and it's gone and seems like an illusion again. And yeah, Stephen, I'm not my diagnosis. I like my diagnosis because it's a quick way to give someone a general idea that I'm off. And the label bipolar describes a lot of the ways I'm different. The symptoms are in there. So it's a nice way. I wouldn't not want to start with, okay, I am neurodivergent and have to begin to explain I experiences depression, I experience mania, and to start going into, there's a lot of aspects of that shit that I experience. Now it doesn't mean that I am bipolar. It's a part of me. It's a description of a group of ways that I am unusual. But I also don't, I have a subpersonality that takes on the medical model and looks at it completely like it's a psychiatric phenomenon, and that it looks at all my angels and miracles as delusions. I have a little Sam Harris inside that examines everything from that perspective. But I have a whole ton of mystics inside that are just full blown believers in that this is a spiritual thing, and that bipolar and schizophrenic people are the people who are meant to be trained to be our shamans. Or, there's been genius mathematicians, Georg Cantor, the infinity theory, like, died in a mental hospital. Like, both shamanism and even scientific genius seems to be genetically tied in with schizophrenia and bipolar. Like, if you have a serious mental illness, you have a higher chance of also being a genius. And we do sometimes benefit from these insane geniuses, like the movie A Beautiful Mind. But also, even if you're not a genius, if you're severely bipolar or severely schizophrenic, you're more likely to be related to a genius. Like, I think Einstein's daughter, one of his kids, was schizophrenic. So it seems that genius, both scientific and artistic genius, flows hand, like, also carries along schizophrenia and bipolar. Like, look, Van Gogh and whatnot. If you're really interested in that, Dr. Joseph Pulameni's book called Shamans Among Us is entirely about that. And he's a doctor, like a psychologist, who, like, also looked into history, and this is all based on studying. But he says he thinks these people, like, if someone starts hearing voices or suddenly doesn't need to eat and sleep, or, all the symptoms of schizophrenia and bipolar, the first thing we do now is take them to a doctor. He said there's still places in the world where the tribes, like, the natural thing and everywhere on earth, we always had some sort of shaman or medicine man, like, whatever continent, whatever place you're starting from. And when somebody was having visions or voices or was cutting themselves, or when someone had what we now call a mental breakdown and take them to the hospital, that was the sign that he was the next medicine man or shaman or whatever, and they were taken and trained in how to use their abilities. So I look at both models and other models other than that. I don't allow the label of bipolar to limit me because I'm open minded about what I am. Am I a natural born shaman? Am I just completely fucking crazy and there's no such thing as God or angels or souls? I have sub personalities that are in charge of looking at it from every direction. But I'm happy to use the label bipolar type 1 with psychotic features because if you look up the symptoms of that, I experience it. Now, in the medical model, it will say, likely to have religious delusions, talk to angels, blah, 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 and it defines it as a hallucination. That's just the description of the phenomenon, I'm saying. Many people, even when I say to them I'm bipolar, like even if I were to say to certain people I'm bipolar, I have delusions of angels, what they would interpret that as is, oh, you're supposed to be a shaman, and they would start telling me, your angels are real. Don't listen to the medical model. That's enough fucking rambling about that. Okay, and Kevin says the passing remark about the past spring being atypical suggest. Yeah, I'll answer that. Yeah, my first two bipolar cycles were extreme. They were 3 years long. I got hit by a bus. And like I'm rounding off, got hit by a bus that just launched me into mania. I became totally psychotic, locked up against my will. Um, the psychosis was only brought down by heavy drugs. Um, I was a zombie for months after on the drugs they put me on. That brought me out of the psychosis and was followed by a 2-year depression that involved probably a year and a half of it being full blown suicidal. My next cycle, and I was in denial. My mania started coming in. It went on for, I don't know, I think 9 or 10 months and just kept going. I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. Like for months, I was eating just a couple crackers a day and drinking coffee and sleeping just an hour a day and then an hour every other day. I had a total psychotic break and experienced the end of the world. Yeah, I'll leave the rest. Yeah, when I was finally locked up against my will, like woke up naked, hand chained, wrists and ankles to a hospital bed. Doctors said I was a month or two away of dying from exhaustion or malnutrition because I hadn't been eating or sleeping for so long. They said it could have even been just a couple weeks until I would have been dead. That was followed by another 2-year depression. After that, I accepted that I was crazy. My next mania, I tried to put the brakes on it and hold myself together. And then I met an archangel and thought I'd totally lost my mind. But that archangel said it was going to counsel me through this and that I wasn't going to end up back in the institution, that he was showing up to break the cycle for me. That year, my mania, I was able to taper it off myself with the assistance of my delusional archangel. And it lined up with my mania started going down in the fall. And then from that point on, I had a 1-year cycle that lines up perfectly with the winter. Or like the cycles here. Also, to me now, a year is like a day. I'm born in the spring or I wake up in the spring. Like the forest god comes alive in me throughout the spring and grows, and my mania and magical powers or delusions of them grow throughout the summer. In the fall, my antlers get heavy, I get weary, and then either crawl into hibernate or die and go into the tomb for the winter. That's my normal yearly cycle. I can be either just very depressed or even suicidal in the winter. Like it's a state of restful death when outside circumstances are going well and life is stable and I have the time to do the self work and stuff. I can enter a winter depression where it feels like a nice peaceful rest in the tomb or a peaceful hibernation, even though I'm depressed. It can be a good winter where the depression becomes mostly low energy and I slow down, but I can, and there is an emptiness sometimes and a sadness of the depression, but it's mild and spread out and I can feel joy as well. But when outside circumstances go bad, it makes it harder. Yeah. But yeah, COVID fucked it up this year. And I don't know if I'm in some way permanently broken from it. Yeah, one thing about where I live, Dust, is it feels like it's where I need to be. It was my great grandfather's farm. Only like he cleared this land, bought it from the Queen. Only my family's lived here. It feels like I'm supposed to be here. My dad took over his dad's farm. Like my family's right over there. It's family land and I have family support here. And I love this area of Quebec. And there's like the nature's so beautiful. Also, I don't know if moving somewhere tropical, it's like, well, that just make my mania go out of control. Well, I'd just always be struggling with not going manic and psychotic if I'm somewhere without winters. Is it somehow healing for me to have like if I can just get life circumstances settled right? And before I took over the channel, I had been doing better for a couple of years, even with outside disasters or even with outside disasters happening. But I had found where that cycle was comforting because the fall comes in to make sure the mania doesn't go on too long. And it's just like you need a day. You wouldn't want to move somewhere because you're trying to just stay up all day. The cycle of a day is healthy. You should wake up and gain energy and be most active in the afternoon. And then you should gear down at night and then you should go to sleep. It's like the death. It's like that cycle actually for a couple years felt healthy. I also felt very in touch with nature. I built up a lot of reserve during that time. And even though outside disasters happened, and I still had the depression and even, sometimes hit suicidal, but it was like I could handle that so well on my own. It felt like a good natural cycle. And I think that's part of the reason I felt like I was capable of taking on sorting myself out and pushing myself out of the comfort zone. But since taking over, sorting myself out, life situations have fallen apart. And I've gradually worn myself down, reserves of energy that I'd built up for years. These past 2 years have been traumatic on me. I think I should wrap this up. I don't think I have anything left in me. And yet, okay, because I don't know what I talked about. Yeah, I'm not sure what I talked about there. So I think I want to read this and make a statement. The fact that you share and care about for others, haven't physically hurt others even when you felt like it, that you acknowledge what you're feeling. Yeah, I don't know what I said earlier, but I want to make it clear. I'm not talking about when you're a teenager fighting with your friends and hurting each other, rough and tumble play or the schoolyard, but I have never as an adult um, hurt anyone. I've never hit anyone, even when had a total psychotic break and I was running around naked, with police pepper spraying me in the face. Um, and I thought they were sent by the devil to kill me. I was yelling at them to just go ahead and kill me, that I wouldn't submit to the devil. And they were freaked the fuck out and they were rough with me and they dragged me naked through the gravel, like handcuffed at wrists and ankles. And they pepper sprayed the shit out of me for a while because I had them so freaked out. I didn't lay a hand on them. I have screamed and raged. I punch myself in the head sometimes out of control. I put my head through walls, kicked doors, smashed things, but I only ever break things that are either things that are okay to break, like some dead tree, or my own property. I've never smashed up someone else's house. I've smashed up my own. I've hurt myself by punching myself in the head. I've never punched anyone else. And I can get into rages where I'm terrifying, where I'm screaming and jumping up and down and punching myself in the head, telling someone they need to leave me alone now. But I've never hurt anyone else. Ever. As an adult. Excellent point, Kevin Jones. Too tired to read it. Oh, it's really nice, Sugar Wave. That one got through now. Maybe it's because the sedatives are kicking in heavier. I'm going to read that one out loud just because that one kind of got through to me. The fact that you are here and you are still trying, even if you don't see it right now, you really are an angel. Thank you for existing. That thank you for existing meant a lot. It is so hard for me to exist right now. Thank you. The sounding lucid tonight, Dust, was I took my Restoril at a strong dose and it calms everything down. Yeah, I took heavy sedatives. Slightly above what the prescription is. Because the prescription itself doesn't hit me hard enough. But I'm heavily sedated. And that's why I'm sounding more lucid. A lot of that suicidal shit that I was ranting in the past videos is inside right now. But for some reason, particularly in the prescriptions for Restoril, for some reason, Restoril in particular, because I use melatonin on a regular basis. You have to be careful with Restoril. But when I'm suicidal and I use it, it turns the volume down on all the suicidal stuff and I can hear other thoughts. So it's drugs doing it. There's a Korean Netflix series called It's Okay to Not Be Okay. I didn't know that. I said that on a stream 2 summers ago, I think. And it became something I said often that year and that other community members kind of picked up on. I think the first summer I was doing the channel, It's Okay to Not Be Okay, was one of my catchphrases for a while. Oh, and I say that I take more than the prescribed dose. I did talk to my psychiatrist about that, and he said he can't increase the prescription because you're not supposed to. But no, I've talked that through with a number of professionals that I find 2 pills doesn't work. I need to take 3, and so my psychiatrist said I can't prescribe it to say to take 3, but he gives me a prescription that gives me 2 pills per night, and I can't take it every night. So I get a prescription that allows me, like with the way that I'm not, and sometimes I don't use them at all for weeks, but he gave me a prescription that allows me to stockpile. And I've spoken to more than one doctor about how I go over the recommended dose, and they've said that they wouldn't recommend it to other people, but when I talked to them about the effects and why, and like go into my situation, and there's the fact that I'm 210 pounds and we're all affected by drugs differently, and yeah, it's not something I would recommend to anyone else to take different than the prescribed dose, but I did actually discuss that with healthcare professionals, multiple ones. They all said, okay, if that's the way this works for you, go ahead and keep doing it. And I've been doing this for like 7 years. I've had this prescription and I've never misused it in a way where I took it too often and got dependent. As far as the spacing it out, I have always been responsible. I've never overused it on like the too often. And the way that I misuse it in taking more than the recommended dose, I did discuss with medical professionals. But no, I think it's good. Like, and you're saying, yeah, you're just a stranger and you don't know more than them. But I think it's good actually that I clarified that. Don't fuck around with taking higher doses of things without consulting. Because it might have come across like I was more casual about that. So I'm glad you asked. People talking about loving to try DMT. Lots of people have asked me if I want to try DMT or psychedelics. I'm very reluctant to trying any different chemical, whether it's a different pharmaceutical, because I've had bad reactions so far to everyone. Nope, like I don't have a prescription other than my sleeping pills. And I take melatonin, which is natural. I've tried tons of different mood stabilizers, antipsychotics, antidepressants. Everything made things worse. Like along with doctor's advice, we gave up on that for now. So I'm very reluctant to try chemical means. However, I find myself often just wishing someone would experimentally kill me in laboratory conditions where you cool the body and like do it in a way where they can revive me after 5 minutes. What they do in Flatliners is an extreme treatment that I imagined up myself. I sometimes desperately wish that was a treatment or wish there was an experimental program. I would love to just get out of my body for 5 minutes and then get back in. We don't know why electroshock therapy helps with depression and it has side effects. But when you look at people who've had the near-death experiences, it improves them psychologically often. It can cure people of depression, give them a love for life. It takes away the fear of dying. My near-death experience took away my fear of dying completely. I love death. But it's my near-death experience wasn't long enough. I didn't go far enough in, and then I got hit by the bus, and my near-death experience made me getting hit by the bus made me crazy. But the near-death experience was a beautiful moment before I got hit by the bus and went crazy. I feel like if I could have longer over there. And I, for years, contemplated, because I know there's no way I'm going to get some fucking experimental hospital to do that for me. I, for years, considered trying to get that treatment myself there's a river that's only 5 minutes away from a local hospital. I seriously considered many times going down, breaking a hole in the ice, then yelling to people up on the sidewalk, "I'm killing myself now, call the hospital." And then to jump in with like a rope tied so that when people run down, they can pull me back out, hoping that I would drown. And because if you drown in cold water, they can revive you sometimes like half an hour later. Like that's the optimal to die and get revived, is if you drown in ice cold water and then they get you to the hospital quickly. I, for years, contemplated and almost did that, seeking it as a treatment. The only reason I didn't do it is because I couldn't guarantee that. Part of the reason I wanted to do it was hoping that they wouldn't pull me out in time, and am I trying to sneakily commit suicide by saying that I'm attempting to get treatment by dying and getting brought back. But I think especially when I'm suicidal, could I even just get out of my body for 5 minutes and go back to that place where it's all just love and where you see that everything's okay, and then come back in and deal with this again? So good night, Sugar Wave. And yeah, I'm going to wrap up soon anyway. You're going to sleep. But you say today you helped others. When you go to sleep, remember the people around the world have thought and worried about you too. You have taught us a lot. You are loved. Thank you very much. Dust says, wasn't Dannion Brinkley working on a bed that does that? Yeah. Okay, Dannion Brinkley is someone who's died multiple times. It changed his life. I knew he was running a hospice for old vets, I think. I had no idea that he was working on something that would allow us to kill ourselves and get brought back to life. Dust, if it's just something he's talking about, if he's working on something like that, whatever, because who knows. But if you hear of anywhere that there is that treatment, let me know. Or if anyone hears that there's a place where people will do that treatment of killing you and bringing you back to life, I would really want to know about that. All right, yeah, I'm going to wrap this up now. I'm too fucking tired, like worn out. I'm glad this helps some people. Thanks, all of you. You're a wonderful fucking audience or community. Yeah, some of you here are community and some of you are audience, I suppose. Both sets of people. You're fucking wonderful. The quality of comments, private messages, and chat that I get is just ridiculously positive compared to what you see other places. You're an amazing group of people. Each and every one of you matters. I'll be back again in a couple days to let you guys know I still haven't killed myself. And so if anyone out there is struggling as bad as I am, or it's really a crisis point, get help, because I'm fucking getting help too. But also just stick it out till my next stream. I'll see you there. God bless. Lunatic love to all.